Hello and welcome. This video will cover securing data on AWS. Data encryption is an essential tool to use when you want to protect your data. Encryption takes data that is legible and encodes it so that it's unreadable to anyone who does not have access to the secret key that was used to encode it. Even if an attacker gains access to your data, they cannot make sense of it. Data at rest refers to data that is physically stored on disk or on tape. It is not moving, it's simply stored. You can create encrypted file systems on AWS so that all your data and metadata is encrypted at rest by using the Open Standard Advanced Encryption, AES 256 encryption algorithm. When you use AWS KMS, encryption and decryption are handled automatically and transparently so that you do not need to modify your applications. If your organization is subject to corporate or regulation policies that require encryption of data and metadata at rest, AWS recommends enabling encryption on all services that store your data. You can encrypt data stored in any service that is supported by the AWS Key Management Service. Data in transit refers to data that is moving across the network. Encryption of data in transit is accomplished using Transport Layer Security, or TLS 1.2. This is an open standard and uses AES 256 cipher. TLS was formerly called SSL. AWS Certificate Manager is a service that enables you to provision and manage the deployment of SSL and TLS certificates for use with your AWS services. SSL or TLS certificates are used to secure network communications and establish the identity of websites over the internet. Also, you can establish the identity of resources on private networks. With AWS Certificate Manager, you can request a certificate and then deploy it on an AWS resource, such as load balancer or CloudFront distributions. AWS Certificate Manager also handles the certificate renewals. Web traffic that runs over HTTP is not secure. However, traffic that runs over secure HTTP or HTTPS is encrypted by using TLS or SSL. HTTPS traffic is protected against eavesdropping and man-in-the-middle attacks because of the bidirectional encryption of the communication. AWS services support encryption for data in transit. Two examples of encryption for data in transit are shown. The first example shows an EC2 instance that has mounted an Amazon EFS shared file system. All data traffic between the instance and Amazon EFS is encrypted using TLS or SSL. To learn more, visit the AWS website. The second example shows the use of AWS Storage Gateway, a hybrid cloud storage service that provides on-premise access to AWS cloud storage. In this example, the storage gateway is connected across the internet to Amazon S3, and the connection encrypts the data in transit. By default, all Amazon S3 buckets are private and can be accessed only by users who are explicitly granted access. It is essential to manage and control access to Amazon S3 data. AWS provides many tools and options for controlling access to your S3 buckets and the stored objects. To protect an S3 bucket, you can use Amazon S3 block public access. This overrides any other policy or object permission and is enabled by default when you create the bucket. This feature provides a straightforward method for avoiding unintended exposure of Amazon S3 data. You can also write identity and access management policies that specify the users or roles that can access specific buckets and objects. This method was discussed in detail earlier in this module. They are called resource policies. Typically, resource policies or bucket policies are used when the user or system cannot authenticate by using identity and access management. Bucket policies can be configured to grant access across AWS accounts or to grant public or anonymous access to Amazon S3 data. If bucket policies are used, they should be written carefully and tested fully. You can specify a deny statement in a bucket policy to restrict the access. Access will be restricted even if the users have permissions that are granted in an identity-based policy that is attached to the user. Setting access control list on your buckets is another way to protect them. ACLs are less commonly used, because ACLs predate identity and access management. If you do use ACLs, do not set the access that is too open or permissive. AWS Trusted Advisor provides a bucket permission check feature that is a useful tool for discovering if any of the buckets in your account have permissions that grant global access. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.